What's up, everybody? Today we're gonna look at tocSWIM, how I produced tocSWIM. This is a LaCroix Sunshine. It's one of the new ones. It's really good, actually. Typically what I'll do is create like a demo here, and then once I have it pretty well arranged, I will bounce versions without drums, without bass, without any key stuff that I did, and let the guys do their thing on it. And then when they have everything, I'll put an 8-bar count at the top. So like you'll see like count right here if I turn the click on. Like that. So that way everybody, and I'll bounce from there as well. So everybody has the same start point and they record from the same start point. So all that means is when I drop their files in, everything will be lined up the way it's supposed to be. So like you can see here, like Nick's bass track, for example, it starts from the count where I bounced it from, and then the same with Scott's stuff right here, all his stuff here. Typically I guess I didn't get around to color coding these, but I'll color code all these, and it's just easier for me to know what's going on. My drums are red, my bass is orange, my guitars are green, and then I'll do like different shades of green for like maybe different styles of guitars, like maybe the surf stuff, or maybe like you know, solos or something like that. All the vocals are pink or some shade of pink typically, and then sometimes I'll change the harmonies or the different kinds of vocals to different shades of pink or purple. I go this hard purple for all my effects tracks here, so I know they're effects. I always do VCAs, and I make those bright yellow, and I throw them at the bottom just in a row like this. And basically I just assign the groups to them, all the drums, all the bass, all the guitars. That way I can easily go through and mute things, solo things, whatever. So for example, if I just want to hear drums, I'll hit the solo over here. There's the drums right there. I'll hear the bass. There's the bass. Guitars, you get it, you get it. Okay, let me start with the drums. So basically how I do this is, I'll collapse these. I'll get all his stuff, and you know, when you receive, especially with the drums, I do a lot of modern style production. So I'm doing a lot of samples, a lot of blending. Sometimes I'll go 100% on the sample, or sometimes I'll go 50-50, sometimes I'll go 80-20. You know, it just really depends on the song. You know, his performances are always great, but just sometimes I need a little more or something a little different, you know. And so, for instance, with the kick here, you know, I just have, I got trigger 2, and I'm using kick 12 Z1. You got your direct mic, and then you got your room mics here, and so I can like, what you're doing is like you're fortifying the hit. And you know, I went 75% here. So if you listen to the original kick, and some of that is from this, there you go. That's the original kick right there. So it's cool. It's just a little too, it was just a little too kind of blown out sounding for some reason. So I just went in with trigger 2, and there you go, 75% is what it was. And here's the full, right? So you're getting the full sample. But I like to get his attack. I like to get his attack in there as well to blend it. And then again, you would just blend in like as much room sound or, you know, direct mic, you know, it's a taste really. What I'll do typically is tune the sample to whatever shell he's using at that moment. So I might have done that on the snare, but just so you don't get like two different tones and they're meshing really weird. It's good practice to try to tune the samples to the original kit as much as possible. Sometimes you get some cool sounds with different tunings, but I try to usually get them in line. And then yeah, just have some SSL here, 4KE, and then I'm trimming 42 hertz on the bottom, boosting 8K, 12.7 dB to get that point in there. So if you take it off, it's just really bland, you know. It's got a lot of oomph to it, but you need some point on some, like, there you go, right? Pulling out 1.3 kilohertz, which is this. We're pulling that frequency out a little bit. And I got Saturn 2 in here, just kind of boosting the low mids and highs a little bit, and adding some drive, some saturation. I am side chaining the kick to the bass. We'll explain in a little bit. So for the snare, I got a few things happening on the snare here. This is the Death and Darkness snare. Created a kit called the Splat kit, which is just I wanted a good snare, splat on the snare. You go in the mixer here, and you can see I've got things you can mix within the plugin. So here's my top, another top, snare bottom, and then I usually have controlling the ambience. Yeah, here you go. There's the ambience mic. So like, just adding more to it, more of a tail. Same thing over here. Pull the reverb down, pull the ambience down. So I got it cranked over here. I got it pulled down here on the master, on the bus, you know, to get that sound. And then of course you can change. You can change snares. You know, I try to match it to his snare as much as possible, tune it up, whatever. And I think, yeah, I tuned it up 0.03 to get it up to where his snare was tuned to. Basically, that blends with the original snare, which I also have trigger on, which we'll talk about at 81%. So this is his snare, but I got some other stuff happening as well. SSL, some saturation, some Pro EQ, probably for like surgical stuff. Like, yeah, just boosting just under 200 to get some more body in there. Cutting out some of the low mids, boosting at 1.3. And then I got some R comp on, you know, just really trying to bring that snare out. And that wasn't doing enough for me. I want more of that produced, like, modern sound. So that's where a trigger comes in. There it is right there. 81% is what it was. So we're still getting his initial attack, but I just wanted just something to pop out. I'm using the Dookie snare actually. Yeah, Dookie snare right here. So combined with the Death snare, splat, baby. That's what I want. That's what you want right there. Move this up here. I am actually running the Death snare into a bus. I guess at one point I had the original snare running to the snare bus as well, but I must have pulled it out at some point. Maybe tonally it wasn't working out. So yeah, this Death snare is actually running into this, which has some more stuff. We got some bus compression. Yeah, we got some, for whatever reason I don't know why, I have two instances of the hollow verb in there, but, so if you take those off, there's that. Add them back in, just, you know, real subtle, 23%, nothing crazy. Hats, you know, just typically, hats are hats. I just want all the high stuff. So I took out all the way up to 300 hertz, and then I boosted 8K. Took out some 450 hertz. Got some compression. You're getting a lot of the hats in the overheads. So once again, rolling off 366 hertz, boosting a little 8K, taking out 370 hertz. Got some compression. Again, we're saturating the highs and a little de-essing. So whatever mics he's using over there, a little bit crispy on the top end. So I usually do some de-essing on the overheads, just so they're not too shrill. Let's go back to the toms here. So once again, I'm using trigger. I have these ones set to 100% on all 4 toms. Again, it's just for whatever the song calls for. It doesn't have to be like that. I can do 50% or some sort of blend or nothing at all. But typically, you know, with the modern production stuff, I just like to have a nice clean, you know, because these drums are being recorded in a basement. So I just want them to sound as big as possible. And these samples sound good to me. Once again, just some 4K E happening here, boosting the shit out of 8K and cutting the shit out of the 250 range on pretty much all these. Okay, these I didn't cut out the low mids. Okay, because they already sounded good. So we got overheads. Yeah, cutting on the lows. Pretty much it there. Cutting some more lows just in case. Got some compression happening. 3-to-1, pushing a little 8K, pulling out a lot of 370, pretty good bit, minus 6.2. We are saturating the highs. What saturation does is breaks that stuff up a bit, so it's not as shrill. There's a lot of things you can do for your top end to make it sound a little more vintage and less harsh. Sometimes adding saturation is the fix. And then we have some DS happening. Yeah, we're DS-ing the top here. Getting like -4 attenuation up in the between 10 and 17 kilohertz. Our room track. Yeah, a lot of low end there, so I had to took out 40 hertz. Taking out 690 hertz. We got some compression at 5-to-1, 5.5-to-1. Taking out 280 hertz. Just trying to even it out. Make sure nothing's poking out too much. I like to have the room as consistent as possible, so I usually crush it a bit with the compression. Cutting out some weird frequency here. That hoo, 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 hoo. This boosting here. That kind of 900, that radio frequency, boosting that a little bit. And then we're de-essing as well. 7 to 14 kilohertz. Nothing's really happening too much. It's not really doing anything. Yeah, just have it there for anything that wants to get crazy. And then we have our drum bus. So let's listen to the drums. All right. We're doing barely hitting 3 to 4 dBs of compression. I've got my release set to auto. Ratio is 2-to-1. My attack is fast. I just have it fast attack, just making sure nothing's. If anything is creeping up too much, we're clamping it down. Nope. Sorry, snare. It's typically the snare. Just wants to bust out, at least in my mixes anyway. We've got some more reverb happening on the full kit here. 21%. Let's see what it sounds like without. Back in. Very subtle, very subtle. You don't want to overdo it, guys. Then we're just doing some basic surgical stuff here, cutting out 22 hertz, just to get rid of any sort of like low-end information we don't need. We're boosting 94 a little bit, cutting out 491, boosting 2000 hertz, 2K. And then here we are taming the lows by about half a dB. Also throwing some drive on there, some saturation. We got warm tape saturation. Same over here, same over here. We're boosting and doing some drive. Saturate the whole kit. And then we're saturating some more with some tape. I have the input cranked 14 dB, 13 IPS, half-inch tape, FG9 setting. So yeah, those are our drums. Let's keep moving here. Tambo, nothing special happening here, just a tambo sample that I found because I like to have movement in a lot of our songs, especially when these slow reggae songs. Sometimes it could be, it can kind of drone on, and I like there to be some more movement apart from the drum kit. The hats maybe aren't like cutting enough for the movement for me, so I add a tambo, just add a little more, you know, just a little groovy. You know? And that's this. Let's see. All right, we're cutting out 24.8 hertz. Drop down at 6K, pulled all that. We don't need all that. Just wanted a nice smooth finish there. Also saturating and attenuating at -5. So nothing special there. There's the tambo. Bass guitar. Bass guitar can be tricky, but Nick is a great player and very consistent. Nothing is too crazy, as you can see in his waveforms here. Nothing's like too loud, you know, at different times. Like you can see his attack on these transients right here. Just that's that finger going in. Other than that, it's really not, you know, it's just generally consistent with him. And I just got some SSL. Yeah, if I take all this stuff out, this is what I get. Great tone, obviously, but I like to compress it a little bit, just make it a little more clamped down. I'm big on, like, I don't care. I'll compress the shit out of bass guitar. It's there to keep the rhythm, and you don't want anything like poking out and like fucking up the vibe, you know. So I'll compress it. In this case, it wasn't too bad, just 3-to-1. Just getting like tapping that -6 attenuation. We're cutting up to 50 hertz-ish because we don't need all that low-end information. The kick and the bass are together. We don't need all that. So I rolled some highs off to 1.5. Again, cutting some more 29. We are attenuating the lows a bit, even some more by -2. We are pushing the mids and the highs a little bit. And then, okay, so soothe. Okay, so soothe is great. Let's load up our kick. So right now, I'm sidechaining the kick to the bass. Every time the kick happens, it ducks the bass. It ducks the bass just a little bit by like -2 dB, -3 dB. Because they're both hitting the same fundamental note, and you got to choose which one. And for me, the bass is still strong in there, and all you're doing, you want that kick to come through. I need that kick. I need to feel that beat, right? And the bass to me is just going to be there. So we're ducking the bass at the moment that the kick is happening, and our attack is set to very fast, so it's like instant. It's like instant when that kick happens. So there you go. That's how you get like a nice clean bass line and drums that stick out in the mix like they're supposed to. Not too much, but the way it's supposed to. Usually have Nick do the stickies as well because we want them to match the bass line, and sometimes his bass lines are too hard for me to play. So we will let him do that. So here's the stickies. And you just put them on top of the bass. And that's it. And you know, he played through, but I decided to mute those out during the verses, just to create some dynamics. So pretty simple there, and we're just doing some compression, a little EQ to kind of boost the top a little bit, boosting some low mids, nothing crazy, and then I've got some slate THU. I got a chorus on here. Okay, just running a chorus pedal. Just sometimes you want a chorus pedal, man. You know, there's no rules, guys. Okay, the infamous elementary guitar riff. I call it Nirvana Surf because it reminded me of Nirvana. And Nirvana wrote simple songs, and look what happened to them. Yeah, I really like this this riff. I did a left and a right. Without processing. That's it. And I'm just boosting some highs, cutting out some low mids, cutting out some lows, doing some little bit of compression. I got a little trimmer on there, just so it doesn't go too crazy. And then boosting some mids. That's that. The bulk of the sound is coming from the Kemper over here, which I dialed in a sweet tone that I didn't save. So now I have to figure out what I did for the live show, because I'm an irresponsible engineer and I don't save my patches when we have something cool. We've got some strums here, and so with these strums, I added some tremolo. So if you listen to these, it's in the bridge. So without the tremolo, it sounds like I have Murder Melodies on here too. Oh no, it's okay, RC20 Retro Color. Yeah, okay. There's a plugin I found like, I don't know, 2020, 2021 maybe. And I was just like, this is so cool. It's just, you can add all kinds of weird, you can get super weird. Like I chose the vinyl thing, and I think I turned off all the noise and stuff and just wanted the wobble and the wear and flutter. So that's pretty cool. And then here's the tremolo. I'm just using Tremolator by Sound Toys. 16th notes. Depth is like right up the middle. Nothing, didn't want to go too hard with it. So super simple. Okay, I've got this dub guitar that happens in the second verse. I wanted the skanks to drop out. We call those skanks here in the biz, guys. The guitars, that reggae shit. We call those skanks. So when the skanks drop out, I wanted something else cool to happen. So I just recorded this track with some crazy delay on it, and just let it roll. And then I edited it down. And this is what you get. I got it panned to the left, 57%. And then it cuts off pretty harshly there, and normally I would fade that out, but in the mix you can't even hear it. So yeah, there's that. Let's get to the, let's get to the skanks, I mean, since we're there. So nothing crazy, just doing some reggae skanks, typical upstrokes, downstrokes, whatever you want to do it. Downstrokes on the up, downstrokes on the 2 and the 4. Using the neck pickup on the guitar, which I don't do that often, but just sounded cool on this song. Once again, got some VMR here, just doing some compression. And usually when I do my left and right guitar, it's the same processing on both. So that's on the virtual channel, simulating the SSL console. We are boosting 7, almost 8K. We're cutting 715 hertz, cutting 1000 hertz, and then just did a high pass at 37. A little bit of compression, just tapping it. So there's our skanks. Oh yeah, I am running these into a skank bus. Come on, don't you want to ride the skank bus? We all want to ride the skank bus, don't we? At least once in our lives. So we've got the skanks running into the skank bus, and I put, if you notice, I'm only striking once each time, right? But I got H delay on here, and it's a very subtle, you see there's like no feedback. It's very subtle, eighth notes, and that's what's creating that extra hit, dut, 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 dut. I just like that sometimes, so with and without it. Of course, it sounds good the other way too, but I just liked how it sounded with this. And it's very subtle. I got the dry wet set to 33%, so it's not too loud. You know, you want it to be kind of like it just in the back. It's the second hit needs to be like in the back a little bit. Dun 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 dun. You know, and then boosting some mids there on both guitars. Okay, so this is the only thing I did on the synth in this song for the intro. I just like that, and then just really eerie and cool and creepy. And this is just Anna 2. I use Anna 2 on a lot of stuff. Just beautiful dread lead. Probably, I can't even tell you what I did to this. It's definitely not the original preset because there's a star. That means you did something to it. So probably just like did something with like the envelopes, or you know, maybe I turned off something, maybe a chorus it had on, I don't know. But yeah, that's the sound you got out of it. Yeah, got Murder Melodies doing something here. I love Murder Melodies. So we added some wobble at 29%. I got some more dimension on, which is just like reverb, 39%. And then I'm low passing and high passing and a little stereo spread. Love that plugin. Got some more VMR here. Compressing the shit out of it. Got like -6, -7 dB of compression. I usually do compression up right after the console as well. Just a little compression to kind of tame things, and then a little more later. I got the FG2A there. Just chopping a bunch, almost 100 hertz from the lows. I just wanted something cool to happen because like that main riff happens twice. It goes around twice. So you want the song to tell a story, so you need something to bring it up again. We just leveled up, you know? So then we had Scott come in and he did some, let's see, you got some bells here. So cool. Just sounds like a video game. Got some SSL once again, boosting the mids. We got some snowy bells here. Let's see what we got. Blow these up a little bit. Snowy bells. Yeah, pretty stuff. We got some pad. More bells. More pads. So you add those in. It's a pretty dense mix, so you got to be choosy with what you want to showcase a bit. And for this, I just wanted it to be more of an ambient thing. And, you know, it is pads, for example. Pads are typically kind of ride, you know, in my opinion, they ride on the bottom there. And you feel it. You want to feel it, but it doesn't need to be super loud. So yeah, pretty simple stuff there from Scott. Yeah, we're down to vocals already. Okay, so vocals. We got our main vocal here. Turn the vocals back on. I always throw Metatune on. And right now it's at 50 milliseconds, so it's tuning just what gets too far out of whack. That's all. It's like I don't do the hard tuning thing. I tune everything I do, but I try to make it sound as natural as possible. Sometimes you want a little harder tuning effect. You know, it just depends on what you're going for. So we've got that, and I've got the doubler turned on here, which makes for a cool effect. Some more VMR, got a lot of weird compression happening here. Compression, compression, compression. I just want it to be up in your face. And I'm sure there's ways of doing this without adding 3 instances of compression, but it's just the way I did it. And I wanted it to be in my face, and I have it on the present setting. I got the drive pushed, the intensity pushed. So let's see what we got here. When I awoke from my daydream, it was too much to bear. I tried to go back in. Really driving this right here to get that kind of grit, saturation. No turning back. You gotta do it all alone. Cutting some weird frequencies here. Let's see what I'm cutting here. Right? Boosting that a little bit. Just all the really shitty frequencies, you just cut those out. That one? Ugh. Imagine having that in your ear for 3.5 minutes. So, you know, little things like that. And I'm cutting a bunch of low end at 77 hertz. Looks like I had some tape on there, decided to turn it off, or maybe it's, yep. Just left it off, and then we're doing some saturation. When I awoke from my daydream. Just wanted that saturation there. I wanted that sound. For the effects, I am going through, I got some verb, some slap, and some dub. I'll show you the dub track here. I usually have a sauce track, but I guess I didn't do one for this one. But sauce is like the sauce, man. Just like the fun stuff, making the vocals sound gritty and ambient and present and all that. We got a hella verb. Got some repeater, just doing some slap here at 166. So it's just some quarter note delay here, ping-ponging, -9 on the send. So yeah, you're just hitting this, you can see it hitting here. What if I abandon ship? I turn it off. And leaving him awake and steal away to start again. Ooh. Got our harmonies. But the memories were still there. There's not a whole lot of vocals happening on this track. I got the main vocal here. I have 2 harmony tracks, and then I did two extra harmonies here. Let's see what these are. Yeah, to get that barbershop thing, and that only happens once. Just, you know, because that part of the song is like very it's climbing, it's getting climactic. So just to end it, you want to send it home, and I just threw in that extra. I think it was that low. Got a mountain of debt and a couple regrets. This is what it takes to go your own way. So I'm just sailing on. Got some ad-lib track here. And that, I love doing this. I do this on a lot of Ballyhoo stuff. Just the telephone vocal there. And it just, it's not automated because it's on its own track. So sometimes I'll automate it, but yeah. And I won't go quietly. Have it panned to 38% to the right. Yeah, it's pretty much it for the master bus here. I always do this on my master bus. I've got some bus compressor here, SSL, and a little over 4 dB on the compression. Attack is not super fast. Slowest attack, release at 0.4. The ratio is 2 to 1. Yeah, nothing too crazy there. I got some tape. Sometimes I'll go into the red on the input. I'll let it hit the red, you know, let it clip out a little bit, because sometimes it sounds cool. Again, it just depends on what the song calls for. That's really all it is, man. Doing a lot of surgical EQ. I tend to do this a lot. So I'm boosting. What I'll do is, I don't have a treated room here, right? And I just like to use the tools that are afforded to me. So I have tonal balance control by Isotope, and I just have it set to the rock setting, and it gives you a basic curve of what rock songs typically sound like these days, modern rock songs. So if you're anywhere in this curve, you probably have a decent tonal balance. So let's see where we're at. Yeah, so what I'll do is, like, if I bypass this little surgical EQ that I did here, that you'll see this curve change in a second. So you can see the lows aren't pushed as much as they were because I have this bypassed. The low mids are really low as well, so I boosted those. You know, we're a little high up in the high mids, pull those down a little bit. You know, just stuff like that. So it's a nice tool to kind of get a good visual representation of what your mix sounds like. But just remember, at the end of the day, it's what it sounds like to you. It doesn't matter what you do here, what this looks like, what any of this stuff looks like. It's a matter of like how it sounds to you, right? But that said, tonal balance control is great because it's based off of, I don't know how many, probably thousands of songs. And it just gives you a good idea that lets you know that if you're within this basic curve right here, that you'll probably be in the ballpark. Ozone 9 for mastering assistant, I just master it right here. There's no mastering. Mastering. Now, it's hard to tell because you're boosting the gain, so if I do a gain match, just brightens it up a little bit, fattens it up a little bit. It's just very subtle. Mastering is about subtle, tiny moves, you know, and you don't want it to be, you just don't want to do too much. So I like to use the mastering assistant because it just makes it easy, man, you know. The Shell Shock album, we sent it to a mastering guy, you know, fine. But in this case, you know, you're on a budget, check out the Ozone mastering assistant. And then I have VSX here, which is just to check my mixes. It's gonna sound like shit, listen. Because it's made for these headphones that actually look just like this. It's made for these headphones. So when you put those headphones on, you're hearing that EQ curve, the sound of the room. It's pretty wild. Like you can go to like different studio rooms, like a club setting, boombox. You know, it's pretty wild what it sounds like in the car. You know, just silly, but yeah, that's just what I use to reference mixes. Basically, I don't have to leave the house. I can reference the mix in multiple situations with a click, and that's how I mix all my stuff. I still do like to go to the car just to be sure, but I'll reference on my, I'll walk around the house. Like when I think I have a mix, I'll walk around the house, make lunch or whatever, and listen on my AirPods. I like to reference on my AirPods because that's where a lot of people listen, you know? So that is SWIM. That is the production. I'm really happy with the song. I'm really stoked how it turned out. Everybody did a great job on it, as usual. And I'm so like stoked to be able to do this like in-house and just not have to depend on anyone else. We don't have to wait on anyone. I don't have to send mix notes to people. I can just do it myself. I can ask the guys what they think, and you know, I try to nail it on the first or second mix. But you do as many mixes until it's done. That is tocSWIM. Go listen to it right now. It is available everywhere. And if you guys like this kind of video, please let me know, because I'll do more of this stuff. It is kind of cool to go back and revisit and see, you know, just what we did for this mix. So anyway, like, subscribe, all the fun stuff. Go listen to Ballyhoo, check out tocSWIM, and there's lots of other songs too. All right, we'll catch you on the next one.